we didn't play our cleanest, and that usually because you're playing a really good football team. A lot of pressure on the quarterback, which we haven't had all year long. We threw a pick six, which we haven't hardly thrown any picks all year long. It was a great play by the defender. We made a couple of special teams mistakes, which we never do. And we gave a couple of big plays on defense. And, the team just kept on battling back. We've not been in a game like this. We've not been in a game like this. We need to be in a game like this. And the closest thing we had to this game was McNeese. So, really proud of the team. My offensive coordinator, Phil Longo, during the bye week had a chance to look at, the defenses that we'll be facing potentially, just had some free time. And he said by far he thought this was the best team left in the country in terms of defense. Then they play phenomenal defense. I've known Russ for a long time. He was at Richmond when I was at Delaware, and I just always felt he did the best job of anyone I go up against. So they're very well coached, very talented defensive line, and it was a great win. To make a stop at the end of the game, it was really good because our offense gets so much pub. It's just all about the offense. He just broke the FCS passing record, and I'm sure Yeti has all sorts of records and all that kind of stuff. And it's just all about our offense, and it was really nice to see. We needed to make a stop at the end of the game, and that defense got pressure on the quarterback, and we made a big play. So, really proud of the kids. Get a chance to keep on playing. There's only 8 teams left. Playing in December is pretty cool. And we go on James Madison? So we get a chance to go back east. So we took the fellas back once before to Philadelphia. Now we get a chance to go to Virginia, and should be a lot of fun. So, questions?
Coach, there in the second half, you guys ended up scoring touchdowns on your drives, and even though your defense wasn't playing great in the second half, you forced 3 field goals. That kind of seemed to be the difference.
Absolutely. Really disappointed that they came down and scored in that first drive. Something we have not done a good enough job of. The last couple of weeks we had, but early in the season was a big problem. It kind of resurfaced again. And then we started, playing some great red zone defense and giving up the field goals, which was huge. So, the defense wasn't perfect, but I thought offensively, they're a pretty good group, and that quarterback I thought had a pretty good day pulling the ball down and running a couple times. We did a much better job later in the game, kind of keeping a guy in to spy him and kind of look for the draw. And then, PJ and Moof and Derek and we started getting some edge pressure, and that was really critical because you could really see that then he was having some issues once we started getting some edge pressure. So, it was a real team victory, the way we kind of pulled the whole thing together at the end.
Coach, what adjustments do you feel were made by them after the first quarter where they were able to slow your offense down?
I don't think they did anything. You look at the guys that we had open, we just didn't, we didn't execute. Also, I just think their D-line did a really good job getting pressure on us. So I don't think Russ did anything. I think their game plan was what their game plan was. They're going to stop the run, and they're going to put those guys out in islands. And if you put those guys out in islands, that gives us a lot of good one-on-one matchups, and most people can't cover our guys one-on-one. The thing that they have better than anyone we faced so far is that defensive line. And that's, when you have a great defensive line, that's what you do. Now, he did pressure more than he normally does. He started sending people a little bit more than he normally does, especially when we got up 21 like that. But no, I think it was all part of his game plan, all part of his package, and that defensive line is exceptional. And we're so proud of how we protect the quarterback, and we really struggled today. And again, I don't think we'll see another group like that. At least I hope we don't. They're pretty special. That's a pretty special group of defensive linemen.
Sure. Can you speak to Brady that touchdown? And secondly, how's your arm feeling?
Oh no, it's it's an absolutely true honor. But I've God's truly blessed me. But none of that happens without the best receiving core in the country. I thought tonight was one of my worst nights throwing the ball, but our receivers just kept making plays and plays and plays and crazy catches, and they just kept telling me, "Hey, just get me the ball." And that's what happens whenever our offensive line protects the way they do, and our receivers just make plays. It's not me at all, and my shoulder's fine.
Does the elements affect your ability to throw the ball at all? Just the rain coming down, having a wet ball.
I think a little bit on throws here and there, but they're playing in it too. I think our equipment staff did an awesome job preparing for this all week. Balls really were not an issue at all like we thought they were going to be. So, yeah.
Coach, you
Lewis,
moving forward about in the second half, how they were able to really pop the top on the secondary, get a lot of big plays downfield.
Yeah. Well, we were playing aggressively, and their passing game's not a precision passing game, and they do have some speed at some of those receivers, and they made some plays. So, I think later in the game we did a much better job getting pressure on them. That's third quarter. That's where we struggled, not getting pressure. Gave them some opportunities to get some balls downfield, but in the fourth quarter when we needed that pressure, that's what happened, and that I think was the reason we won that ball game at the end is the pressure.
Coach Lewis obviously had a good game through the air, but take us through the 53-yard keeper.
Jedediah. Phil has had that sort of package up for some time, but we talked a little bit more about it because of potential elements that we had. The first thing Yeti said when he came off the field was they had the angle on me because he knows we're all going to just absolutely bust his chops about getting caught. But no, that's something we've had up. And, I think we've maybe snapped the ball to Yeti a couple times, but I'm sure they really weren't looking for something like that. And that was a huge play. Roy gave us an opportunity to get the ball out from our end zone. So, it's something we can do. He's a pretty talented kid. He's a former high school quarterback, walked on here, and obviously he's best slot receiver in the country, but he also throws the ball pretty good. He'll tell you that he could have as many – if he could catch it and throw it, he would do it. But we have to pick one or the other. And since we have Briscoe, we said we'll let Briscoe play quarterback. So,
Coach, can you speak a little to the struggles maybe running the ball today?
oh yeah, I mean, that was not a surprise. Now the numbers are skewed because of the sacks, but that's not a surprise at all. I mean, they are really good at run fits. I mean, that's the thing when I was playing against Russ when he was at Richmond, I just would always walk away from going, boy, these guys just fit the run like no one's business. So they just do such a great job of fitting the run. They just never make a mistake. They're always in the right gap. He does a phenomenal job coaching them. And they're very talented up front. They're really talented up front. So, the way they play defense, they're going to put their guys out in islands. And, I was getting a little frustrated because, in the fourth quarter, you could see a number of times where our outside receivers had their pads, their shirts pulled down over their pads, and same thing with our slot receivers. And so sometimes the game starts to get called that way. They let you get a little handsy, and they were getting all over us. But if they're going to let you do it, then they let you do it. And so it became a very physical game, and our kids had to go make a lot of contested plays. And as Jeremiah said, I mean that play Nathan Stewart made at the end of the game. I mean, we have the best group of receivers in the country, and so if you want to, put six in the box and play single high, we're a little bit of a headache. But what they did, they really did a great job in getting pressure on us. And that's the first time we've had that happen all year long.
PJ, 3rd and 10, they're driving. Take us through the deflection here at the end.
Yeah, basically we knew they were getting ready to pass. So basically I just got off the edge and I seen him getting ready to throw a screen, just got my hands up and was able to bat the ball down.
PJ, how difficult was it for you guys? I mean, you consistently were able to get to the quarterback, but it seemed like hardly ever to bring him down. How frustrating was it for you?
Yeah, it was frustrating, but we can't do nothing about it. You just have to play the next play and go on.
He's a good player. He's a lot more physical than you realize. When we watch film, a number of times you see him pull the ball down and make plays. And, really it was almost like he was one look, didn't like it, you know what? And that was really critical for us. That last drive was making sure we had someone in position because that was our fear. We knew they weren't going to run the ball because of the amount of time, but our fear was we would cover, he would pull the ball down and make a 15, 20-yard play, and they still had enough time to do those kind of things. And I thought we did a good job defensively, making sure we had somebody, kind of eyeballing him in case he stepped up.
Coach, were you in Delaware with Joe Flacco?
Yeah, I was.
What's kind of similarities having now Briscoe and him, two transfer quarterbacks having success?
Yeah, I had a kid named Pat Devlin too, and Pat played 3 years with the Miami Dolphins, and Pat's biggest problem was the fact that everyone asked how he compared to Joe. Joe's a freak of nature. Joe's almost 6'7". I mean, he can throw the ball 80 yards in the air. He'll run a 4.7. I don't think Jeremiah's going to run a 4.7. But the things they have in common is the leadership skills, the will to win, the intelligence. Well, that's probably the number one thing, is just how intelligent they both are. Jeremiah makes very few mistakes, and the thing that was always so remarkable with Joe is that he might make a mistake, he's never gonna make it twice. You know, so there are a lot of similarities, but you know, Joe physically is a freak of nature. So not that Jeremiah is not a nice, strapping young man, but we need to get Jeremiah in the weight room after the season's over. That's my his hairline's just fine. He has some hair issues that Joe doesn't have. So anyway,
Anything else?
thanks guys.
All right, appreciate it.